All right, so we're about to get into this Black Panther review. If you have not seen this movie, you might want to wait before you watch this because there are going to be spoilers here. Just letting you know in advance because we hate spoilers too. So we decided we was going to break this up. Bro, where's my manners? I'm here with my man SPJ. You know what I'm saying? And he just saw the movie yesterday. I saw the movie yesterday. You know, we definitely had to give you guys, you know, our viewpoint on whether or not we thought the movie was good and other little details. We probably do 2 videos, right?
Yeah, 2 videos.
Yeah, we're probably going to do 2 videos. This one is just going to be for the fanboy, movie reviewer. The second review we do is probably going to be a deep dive.
Yeah, more real world.
Yeah, into a lot of the many themes that this movie had in it. We are right now at the Arundel Mills Mall.
Shooting gorilla.
Shooting gorilla style, you know what I'm saying, without permission. Who knew you needed permission for that sort of thing? But yeah, as it turns out you do, but they give you the runaround, so we gotta do what we gotta do.
You're telling me that the king of a third world country runs around in a bulletproof catsuit? Why don't you ask him yourself? Because he's right outside. Bingo.
My king.
Stop it.
The Black Panther lives.
A war is coming. That's damn calm.
Watch me do my
I hope you're ready, bro. Because I'm just getting started.
So, what was your first impressions of the movie?
My first impressions coming out of the movie is, again, from a fan perspective, based on the movie, they did it again.
Yeah.
They did it again.
Did it again.
Marvel, Disney, period, has turned into a blockbuster machine.
Yep.
And there is no stopping them. The only thing that can stop Disney is themselves at this point.
So what would you say is the, let's talk about the positive things. That should be pretty easy. What do you say was some of the positives and what did you like about the movie?
The number one thing that sticks out, just watching the movie, so in a bubble, no hype,
Right.
no all that.
Right.
In a bubble, the very first thing that sticks out is the visuals. They made Wakanda look like a meal. Forget a snack. Like, for real though, because it's the type of landscaping and compensation and visuals that you get from movies that are really more sci-fi based.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was a lot more grounded than like a Star Wars would be or like a Guardians would be.
Right.
So that was really impressive. Somebody mentioned to me Avatar, and it's probably the most impressed I've been with a movie's visuals since Avatar.
Right. I thought Avatar was a crappy movie overall.
Avatar was horrible.
It was horrible, but the visuals were good.
The visuals were worth me paying for that 3D ticket.
Yeah, yeah. I thought the story was excellent. The presentation was excellent, like
Tremendous.
you said. Just everything from the costumes, the set pieces, and just overall, like as far as the acting in the movie, like I gotta say they made me like for a second I lost the idea of they were actors.
Yeah.
And got into them as the characters.
Yeah.
And I think just from that perspective, that's a win. That's a win. That's a win.
100%. I'd say we were talking a little bit off cam about people saying this was a surprise hit. Marvel can't produce surprise hits at this point.
No.
But what would you say was the biggest surprise about the movie?
I think the biggest surprise about the movie was that it was unapologetically African.
Ooh.
The fact that
And digestible.
indigestible, like
At the same time.
you know what? And I think that had a lot to do with them cutting a lot of the fat from the movie, because they said initially the first cut was like 4 hours.
It's a lot. I'd have watched it.
I still would have watched
That's a
it,
lot.
but yeah, I think when they cut the fat, I think what they wind up doing is making it a lot more digestible to the average viewer.
Yep.
But some of the conversations and the themes that they brought up in the movie was stuff that you would hear in the black community all the time. This may not be stuff that's privy to the white community
Right.
or any other community, any other ethnic community, but the
didn't
black
matter.
community, like this is something that we talked about and has been discussed, and maybe not as much as it should have been, but it was discussed. So to see it in the movie itself was a big deal. That was a big deal.
Huge.
This is huge, man. I like the dialogue. They had some really good lines in there.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that their usage of Art Killmonger, like, you could feel his rage. I don't like one-dimensional villains.
No.
Villains that are evil just for the sake of being evil. You know, he had very valid points. He had valid anger and rage. I may have side-eyed some of his actions as a result of it, but at the same time, when people are angry and that angry, that's the type of stuff that you're going to see from them. The way he went about taking the throne of Wakanda, you know, they could say a lot of things, but T'Challa lost that
Yeah, he did it
in
the right
fair
way.
and square combat. Like,
He did it the right way.
yeah, he took that.
The movie didn't paint him as a villain,
Right.
except for one part, which we'll get into when we get some negatives.
Right.
But I guess I'll say surprise for me was, it's hard to say this in a movie full of so many great performances.
Right.
Letitia Wright stole the movie.
Absolutely.
There is, even though the other actors, they played their roles to a T, Letitia played her character where it was probably the most relatable, because that anybody who's watching that could be your little sister.
Exactly.
I mean, outside of the
Exactly.
fighting stuff, of course, it's that type of movie.
Right.
But her personality, how she interacted with T'Challa, anybody could relate to that being their little sister.
Yeah. Like they did such a good job of it. It felt like that they were brother and sister.
I like how they. So we've had this conversation several times about comic book movies not being comic book accurate. So the way that at least Marvel Studios makes it up half of the time is they give you little nods.
Right.
And we know that in the comics, Shuri becomes Black Panther.
Right.
But when it was time for the first challenge for T'Challa, and they asked if anybody within the bloodline wanted the challenge, and she raised her hand.
Yeah, that was
That
a
was
nod to
amazing.
her. That was definitely a nod to her
That was
becoming
amazing.
Black Panther. Like,
Yeah.
because at some point in the comic book she does. I don't know if they're going to actually do that in the movies, but I do know in the comic book she becomes the Panther.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something else. I think take movies like Thor, that series, the Thor series. You know, Thor's my favorite character, but that first movie suffered from a lot of stuff. And I think the biggest issue I had with it is that it didn't spend enough time on Asgard. The one thing I liked about this movie is that it spent the lion's share of its time in Wakanda.
Yep.
Yeah, they went to Korea and all of this, but for the most part, they spent time in Wakanda. Wakanda became another character
Wakanda was definitely a character.
inside the movie.
Yes.
And I felt like where Thor missed its mark is the fact that it's supposed to be based on fantasy and them being gods and stuff, but you spend most of your time looking at a dust ball on Earth. You know, some dust ball city on Earth. And it took away from the immersion of being in his world. So now when you see, in the case of Black Panther, when you see him go out and leave Wakanda and engage with the rest of the world, it has that much more, I don't know, relevance or more spice to it, because you know where the world he comes from.
Yep.
You had a chance to deep dive into that world, and now you get the contrast how he is in that world with how he is outside that world. But no movie is perfect.
None, not even the great Black Panther.
Like, that movie was great. I enjoyed it immensely, but it was not perfect. There were some things that I thought they could have done better.
Yeah.
Not that it was necessarily bad, but it was things that I felt like would have added to the richness of the characters in there. The one thing I will mention is the fact that I think we should have seen a juxtaposition of T'Challa's upbringing with Eric's upbringing.
Yes.
Because I feel like it would have added more context to his rage. And you can see why Eric's experience forged him into being the person he is. And the same with T'Challa. His experience made him into the person that he was growing up. And you see how that nurture has a lot to do with how people turn out. You know? So what would you say is one of your cons?
I have a couple that are kind of like, some would consider nitpicking, but that's
Right.
what I do. So, character-wise, I have 3 issues.
Right.
Unless I missed it. And I could have missed it for any of these 3.
Right.
With Killmonger, the fact that everything he did before he got to Wakanda, when we saw him as an adult, he was kind of portrayed as a villain. But Everett Ross, Mr. Exposition, explained to us that he was an undercover agent.
Right.
Okay, so we can forgive all the villainous stuff we saw before. From that point forward, the movie wasn't painting him as a villain.
Right.
Except when he had the flowers burned.
Yeah, that seemed out of place.
It was
man.
really out of place because, given what we had been told about him, his only gripe was the displacement.
Yep.
Not knowing, well, finding out, but not being afforded the opportunity to learn and grow in his own country.
Right. Right.
Why, you know you're not going to live forever. Why would you leave the country without a protector
Yeah.
in the event that you die?
Yeah. You're gonna have an heir, right?
Yeah, it
like
didn't make
you know.
sense.
And know what I was thinking would have made even better sense? It would have made better sense if he'd have made a more liberal use of that fruit or that flower, and they could have been gods on earth.
Yep.
Like now in the comic books, there's a little difference because not just anybody can take that
Right.
herb.
You might die.
You might die from that. Now,
And in fact, I think the first time
that's how Killmonger
did it-
died.
Yeah.
Originally in the comic books, he died when he finally tried to consume the plant, and it didn't agree with his body at all, so he winds up dying. But in the movie, of course, they changed things. That's how it is.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I really felt like that was very short-sighted of him, and it didn't seem like in character.
Yeah, it didn't match. Also, with T'Challa, in the boardroom, the throne room, I said, when Michael B. Jordan came and he was doing the whole ask me who I am, ask me who I am.
Right.
I don't understand why T'Challa wouldn't go ahead and say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like he's stupid.
What was the
He
purpose of
knew.
that? What was the purpose of that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It
Like,
doesn't make sense. He knew who he was already.
right.
And he had to know that if he didn't say anything, Killmonger was
Just
gonna
gonna
go
say
ahead
it
and tell
anyway.
us.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that didn't make sense. And the other thing wasn't something that didn't make sense. It was just one of the things that they kind of changed that I'm just a little perplexed with.
Mm-hmm.
Shuri was the one to be shown as the genius.
Yeah, she was the smart one.
Nothing in that movie made me think that T'Challa was one of the smartest men on earth.
Good point. Good point.
I think that's
That's a
really
good point. And that's an integral part of his
Yeah.
character too. You know, he's a scientist that's every bit as, if not more so, capable as a Tony Stark
Right.
or Reed Richards or that was an integral part of his character that they left out.
And
That's
it's
a good point.
conflicting to me because I love the fact that this teenage
Yep.
black woman is so smart. I love that. But couldn't she have just been smarter than him?
Yeah,
Like,
he still should have been.
Could he have still been shown to be a genius? So I don't.
That actually leads into one of my other criticisms too. I feel like we didn't get to see the Black Panther do a lot of the Black Panther stuff. Like, we saw him fight and do all of that, but I feel like he needed to have much more of a fleshed out thing about his own intelligence and how capable and resourceful that he actually is. Because when it comes to prep time, he's every bit as good as Batman when it comes to prep time, and we didn't really see that displayed too well in this movie at all. I can't recall one scene where you would say that it was an example of him doing prep time. I can't. I also wanted to bring up a critique that Cindy Radfield, shout out to Cindy, one of my admins in the Reaper Life comic book group. This is one of the things she said about, it wasn't that this was a bad thing or a criticism, or something she would like to see more of. So her comment was that she was happy that they finally had a villain with depth. But the one thing she would have liked to have seen, though, is the parallels. The same thing I said with T'Challa's life and Eric Killmonger's life. But the one thing that she added to that I thought was key, and I didn't even think of it, but she said she would have loved to see his moms in the movie, Angela Bassett or Ramonda, basically talking about losing the men in her life violently and how that would really strike a chord with a lot of African-American mothers and women out here who have to constantly be worried about their sons, their fathers, their brothers, and that would have been definitely relatable. So it's not that this is a bad thing that he didn't add it. It just seems like a missed opportunity, especially with all the other themes that was running in that movie.
I'll also say it's bittersweet, but the MCU villain problem is still in place.
Yes, it is.
Continues.
Why do they keep killing the villains?
You have a great villain in Killmonger who you killed. Was it a good move for the movie itself? Yes.
Yeah.
Because in death, his quote before he died was
epic,
powerful.
Yeah.
But between him dying and we've been getting this tease with Claw for years.
Oh yeah,
and
man.
You kill him too.
Why'd you kill Claw?
So it's like you have one of your most interesting Mystique-wise villains.
Yeah.
Who, when he first showed up, is when people first started thinking we were going to get a Black Panther movie. And Claw,
right.
You kill him, and then hands down, one if not two, the best villain in the entire franchise
is Eric
of the
Killmonger.
MCU.
Yeah.
And you kill him.
Yeah, and let's also give a shout out to Claw, because Claw was a very interesting villain. The actor's take on the character, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
It was entertaining to see him on the screen. Every time he was on the screen, you instantly was drawn to him.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that they killed him off, I thought was short-sighted. And Marvel continues to do that for some reason. You know who started it? Actually, I'm gonna tell you who started that curse. And it wasn't Marvel, it was DC. If you guys remember the old Michael Keaton Batman, the very first Michael Keaton Batman movie, why did they kill off the Joker in that movie?
No reason.
There was absolutely no reason to kill off the Joker in that movie. So I think that all of us fans should put up a petition to get these movie companies to stop killing off these great villains.
And the only reason it's not that big an issue as it could potentially be is Killmonger has died several times in the comics. True. And he's been brought back somehow.
True.
The only one of the big differences is he doesn't have followers in this movie.
Right. That's true.
So I don't know how they would go about doing it.
Or they could, it's iffy, because what they could do is, the part that we didn't see is we didn't see them bury him.
True.
So it's possible that even despite what he wanted,
right,
they could have cured him, put him in a prison in Wakanda or whatever. It's possible, So let's keep our fingers crossed that somebody thinks to bring him back.
Yeah.
Because he really was a great villain.
Amazing.
And I would love to see more from him. I think his perspective is needed, because it's a great juxtaposition from T'Challa's perspective.
Yes.
And I also want to give one other shout out, even though we're supposed to be in the con section, but gotta mention this. I like the fact that once T'Challa was confronted with the truth, he actually took his ancestor, his father, to task about that, because that was wrong. They were dead wrong. They were flat out wrong for abandoning Earth after killing his father. And they really were, his father, T'Chaka, was the root cause of everything that took place. Because had they brought Earth home, he could have been conditioned. He could have, the narrative of his life would have changed. It wouldn't have been the same, and they wouldn't have had that problem. And the people that wound up dying in the movie wouldn't have never died. You know.
One last con. It's less about the movie in isolation. It's about the MCU. Post-credit scenes have lost their.
They've lost their punch. They've lost their punch.
So at the end, at the post-credit scene of Civil War, you had Captain America and Bucky in Wakanda. If that's canon, then why would Okoye have such an issue with bringing Everett Ross to Wakanda? Because the alternative would have been they brought Cap in but hid him. So if that's the case, why couldn't they do Everett Ross? You
know, it could have been the fact that he was a CIA agent.
That's possible.
It could have been that, but I feel like
America?
It's true. Plus, you figure after Everett jumped in front of a bullet, you know, like you think that he would have earned some goodwill.
You know,
which he did kind of, you know.
I don't know, but it's like on top of that, forget the end scene for Civil War. With all the technology that you guys have, y'all not telling me that y'all could have kept him in a coma, until y'all healed him, and then sent him away, True. I mean, it's just a little piece. Like I said, no movie is going to be perfect,
But we got to hit from both angles to be fair. But overall, it was a wonderful movie. I love what he did. I'm anxious to see more. It was a great way to flesh out the Black Panther universe on its own and show that it could stand on its own with just him and his characters inside that movie. I'm definitely going to see it again, because I know it's a lot of stuff in that movie that I even missed the first time. Love to see it again, just to catch some of those other nuances. Overall, you were saying about the same. You enjoyed the movie, right?
Oh, yeah, without question.
So go out and see it, check it out, do what you do. Let us know what you thought about it. If you already saw the movie, in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. And we're going to talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.